Viewers, let's focus on a very significant story tonight. And please do pay attention to all that I'm going to tell you tonight. It's important. The courts, as you know, viewers, are the lifeblood of every democracy. They're the one institution that stand between total anarchy, breakdown of law and order, the social contract, and of course, viewers, democracy that is truly representative, where justice is given to the last person, irrespective of his station in life. If you don't have the guarantee of justice, you're not going to have much of a life. Viewers, therefore, the appointment or any matter concerning judges is hypercritical. There's been such a long debate raging about the appointment process of judges. We're not focusing on that today. We're focusing on just another aspect. And what is that aspect? When judges demit office, where should they end up? Should they immediately accept a sinecure from the government of the day? Should they take a break for a couple of years? There are many issues. But viewers, unfortunately, we can't debate each of these issues in isolation or without the noise of politics. Everything has to be filtered. But let's for a moment set the politics aside and let's just look at some of the facts. The appointment of former Supreme Court Justice SC Nazeer as the Governor of Andhra Pradesh has elicited much criticism from the opposition and from other jurists as well as lawyers and general observers of politics, social scientists, and the like. The appointment is being seen as reward, just reward, for Justice Nazeer's decision to side with the majority judgment in the Ram Janambhoomi title suit. Now, this is the accusation. I can't say, viewers, whether this accusation is right or wrong, but I will take you over some facts which will perhaps help you to separate the wheat from the political chaff. Viewers, you might recall that a couple of years ago, the judgment in favor of the Hindu community's claims on the Ram Janambhoomi issue, the title suit, paved the way for the construction of what many people regard is a, quote, bhavya, unquote, Ram Mandir at the once disputed site where the Babri Masjid stood. The opposition has questioned the former justice's integrity, saying that his appointment as governor and his acceptance of what they called is a sinecure casts a shadow over not just the justice's integrity, the whole system, but also the judgments he has delivered as Supreme Court judge in the past. Of course, viewers, as this drumbeat of criticism reached a crest, the Union Law Minister, Kiren Rijiju, had stepped in, inevitably, and he has come out in support of Justice Nazeer and lashed out at the ecosystem. This is what he says. He says the ecosystem is once again in full swing on yet another appointment. They can no more treat India as their personal fiefdom. And he also goes on to say India will be guided by people and the Constitution of India. Well, the Law Minister's attack, viewers, his dig, has only inflamed the opposition further.
In the country, it is not fair at all. This will definitely affect the credibility of the judiciary. Even all the judgments pronounced by Justice Abdul Nazeer is also in question, including the Babri Masjid judgment.
कांग्रेस पार्टी के समय भी कई नियुक्तियां इस प्रकार की होती रही हैं। भारतीय जनता पार्टी के द्वारा नियुक्त किए गए ये जजेस उसी परंपरा का हिस्सा है। हम इसको ठीक नहीं ठहराते।
Viewers, not just this, but Congress leader Jairam Ramesh was quick to tweet a 2012 video of late BJP leader Arun Jaitley. Remember, viewers, Mr. Jaitley was, apart from his responsibilities as the leader of the opposition, was also a top lawyer, a litigator. In the video, Mr. Jaitley can be heard saying that judgments can be influenced by post-retirement appointments. Now listen in to what Mr. Jaitley had said back in 2012.
Pre-retirement judgments are influenced by the desire of a post-retirement job.
Now remember, viewers, these questions were raised back then also, by then the BJP opposition, and therefore you heard Mr. Jaitley making those points. But is this really the case when it comes to Justice Nazeer? Here are some hard facts. Let me even put them as hard fact checks. First, on Justice Nazeer's last working day, Chief Justice Chandrachud, who was also part of the Ayodhya bench, said that Justice Nazeer stood for what's how. During his tenure, Justice Nazeer actually ruled often against the position of the central government on several cases, and several very significant cases. The first one, viewers, was the 2017 triple talaq case. Now this is very, very important, viewers. It's very, very important. Justice Nazeer was part of a 9-judge bench. He backed the minority view to uphold instant triple talaq. So he did not side with the government. In fact, his judgment was quoted by many in the opposition to lambast the government of the day. Also, viewers, let me talk you through another very important, very critical judgment. In 2017, the right to privacy case was being heard. Again, Justice Nazeer was part of the majority verdict in Puttaswamy case, upholding the fundamental right to privacy that the government opposed. The government said there is no fundamental right to privacy. But Justice Nazeer disagreed, dealing a blow to the government at the center, and that was the BJP. Let's move on, viewers, to the other case. This was, viewers, September 2018, the Ayodhya case. Now, this was on a hearing to do with a slightly tangential issue. He dissented against the majority view, said the case should be referred to the larger bench, criticized Ismail Faruqi judgment observation that mosques wasn't integral to Islam. So he said that mosques are integral to Islam, and therefore they can't just be moved, and he was the dissenting judge there. The outcome was not referred to a larger bench, but nonetheless, viewers, he was one of the verdicts which you know where he has agreed with the government, which was later on, of course, the major important Ayodhya judgment on the title suit, and of course, Demo. In the Demo decision, he backed the 4:1 majority decision upholding Demo. That is something that many people will also now say should be questioned. Now, it's not the first time, as I told you, viewers, that judges have left office, have demitted or resigned or retired and gone on to be appointed by governments to other positions. So let me quickly take you through. Justice A.K. Ganguly retired in February 2012, but March 2012 he was appointed West Bengal Human Rights Commission head. Now, that is, of course, a state government job. Justice Mukundakam Sharma retired in September 2011. Very soon after, Chief of Government appointed Vasundhara Water Dispute Tribunal. So that's another important one. Justice V.S. Sirpurkar retired in August 2011, appointed as Competition Appellate Tribunal head. Justice Lokeshwar Singh Panta retired in April 2009, appointed as chairman or chairperson of NGT. Justice H.K. Sema retired in June 2008, appointed as chairperson of UP Human Rights Commission. There was also, of course, Justice Balakrishnan, who was also appointed to the National Human Rights Commission, and that also happened in the UPA years. So, viewers, it's not as if this is happening for the first time. So what really is the issue here? Let's open this up. Let's go across to some of our esteemed guests. We have Mr. GVL Narasimha Rao, Member of Parliament, National Spokesperson of the BJP, Arima Sundaram, Senior Advocate, Ishkaran Bhandari, another advocate who practices in the Supreme Court, Abhijit Iyer Mitra, Varis Pathan from the opposition, and Tehseen Poonawala. Let me first begin with you, Arima Sundaram. You're someone who works in the courts, you're an advocate, you know how these things work. Do you believe that judgments can be influenced by external factors, like perhaps what the judge might consider moving on to if the government is so amenable to accommodate him, and therefore will he tailor his judgments to suit the government's tastes in exchange for a sinecure, let's say a governorship?
I'm afraid your question, Rahul, defeats the very purpose of our whole judiciary, the faith in the judiciary, and the belief in our judicial system. You know, it is very unfortunate how we keep throwing stones any opportunity we get. A party not in power is meaning to throw a stone at the government in power, but in the meantime, the stone sprays all around and hits every other constitutional office. Let me tell you something which I consider is so absurd. Objections taken to taking up appointments in tribunals. If only these people who are complaining, who are meant to be politicians, it scares me that politicians haven't read the enactments, are not aware of legislation. Because the various enactments setting up the tribunals mandates, whether it is NGT you referred to, or whether it's a Human Rights Commission you referred to, or whether it's the Competition Law Tribunal you referred to, whichever one you referred to, the Human Rights Commission, everything. The legislations which created them mandate, direct, that a retired Chief Justice of India or a retired judge of the Supreme Court or a retired High Court judge shall be made the chairman. Nobody else is qualified. Now, obviously, at a time when there is a vacancy in the tribunal, a judge who is recently retired would be the best person to take that job. You cannot leave the tribunal's chairmanship open to allow judges to take a cooling off period. Meantime, there's no chairman of the tribunal. Next thing you'll have is criticism saying tribunals are not functioning. This is the absolute absurdity about the objection about these after jobs being given to judges, because the enactments mandate it. That is number one. Number two, the objection to taking up constitutional offices. Some people seem to forget that judges are not government servants per se. They are constitutional authorities. They are constitutional appointments. We've had Chief Justice Hidayatullah, who became a vice president. We had Chief Justice Subbarao, who stood for elections as president. We had Justice Hegde, who became a speaker. These were all very respected people. And now when you say a judge of a Supreme Court, a retired judge becomes as governor of a state, who better? In the old days, I remembered, you know, eminent people in society used to make judges. You had Sarojini Naidu, Padma Naidu, who was made a governor. You had Jayachamaraja Wadeyar, Maharaja Mysore, who was made the governor of Madras. These were people who were meant to be eminent people. On the one hand, you claim that the governor's office is politicized. On the other, when you have eminent people taking those offices, you criticize that. And who better than a retired judge of a Supreme Court to become a governor? If you mean it's an apolitical, if you mean to say it's an impartial office, the opposition says it should be impartial. If you want it to be impartial, have impartial people there. Have learned people there. Have people who are learned in the Constitution, because a governor's office requires knowledge of the Constitution. I don't see anything wrong in it. And so far as Justice Nazeer is concerned, I find the objection ridiculous. He's been one of the most respected judges of the Supreme Court. Nobody has ever pointed a finger at him. In fact, I think it's wonderful that he is being asked to be a governor today. I see nothing wrong in it whatsoever.
Okay, Mr. Poonawala, would you like to respond? AIMM spokesperson, Advocate Varis Pathan. Let me actually bring him in, because he gets very upset if we delay his entry into a debate. So, Pathan Sahab, as I said, aapko koi nahi rokega. No one will blockade you. Pathan Sahab, I want you to respond. You're also an advocate. respond. Senior advocate Aryaman Sundaram has made a very, very interesting couple of points. He's talked about the fact that enactments mandate that justices take up certain positions. These are not sinecures. You require certain specialization. And in the case of gubernatorial positions, etc., remember, judges aren't government servants. They are constitutional appointees, etc. So if you expect anyone to play an impartial role, judges will. Mr. Pathan.
Well, Rahul, with the greatest respect to the Honorable Supreme Court and the judges of our Honorable Supreme Court, I start by quoting Justice J.S. Verma, who was a senior Supreme Court judge. Justice Verma said, Supreme Court is supreme but not infallible. And now coming back to the judgment on the Babri Masjid case, the dispute was of the land. We said it was ours, they said it was there. And the judges gave the judgment on that issue. Had there been the Babri Masjid on that very day when the judgment was delivered, I am sure that the judgment would have been different. But among the three judges who were the judges at that time who gave the judgment, Ranjan Gogoi is made the Rajya Sabha member of Parliament by the BJP. Another judge, Justice Bhushan, is made the chairman of the NCTL. And the other judge now, Justice Nazeer, he is made the Governor of Andhra Pradesh. Where is the cooling period? And I would like to remind them that there are many judges who could have been provided with the lucrative post, but they did not. He accepted the position. I would also like to quote Arun Jaitley Sahab, who was then the minister. He said in the parliament, the judgments can be influenced by post-retirement benefits. So the nation and everybody, with respect to Subramaniam Sahab, I am also quoting the Constitution of India. Constitution has given me right for my freedom of speech and expression. And if I feel so, that because of that judgment, he has been given this, offered or given this post. Will I be wrong? When the judgment, when one of the Supreme Court judges said that during the Nupur Sharma argument, that she is the person who's a loud mouth, and because of her there is disturbance in the country, because of her that took place in our country, 2-3 people were murdered. Entire BJP, including the most influential people in their BJP, they made a statement that no, judges should not have said that. My friend Anand Ranganathan is not present in the debate today, otherwise I would have asked him. He was the first to tweet that how can the judges say this? That time nobody said, and I am not committing any contempt of court. They are not the sitting judges.
I think you're
I am entitled to make my observation. My observation is simple and clear.
With all due respect,
6 December 1992 was the black day in the democracy of the country when our Babri Masjid was made change.
Okay, you're conflating now. So hang on.
So since against us.
Okay, so what judges say while they're in the chair is not our business. Let's not go there, Pathan Sahab. That is up to them. People can be critical of them. They're not, as you have said, they're not always right. And you can criticize them without reducing motives. So let's be very, very clear about that. No one has a problem with that. What there is a problem with is the appointment of judges after they retire to certain offices. Now, Aryaman Sundaram has said that there are mandated enactments, so enactments that mandate this. And he has cited those, which you have not been able to challenge. But I do agree with you, Mr. Pathan, that, and I want to bring in GVL Narasimha Rao, Member of Parliament. Look, we will get into whether Mr. The current judge in question, this M.A.
Abdul Nazeer.
Abdul Nazeer, sorry, S.A. Nazeer, if he actually was influenced. We'll get into that. We'll examine some of the judgments. But I want to ask you, sir, and I want to quote to you two very tall leaders of the BJP, one towering legal luminary and the other a minister in your government. Now, this is what Arun Jaitley said in 2012, Mr. Rao. There are two kinds of judges, those who know the law and those who know the law minister. And this was said over the weekend at a conference organized by the party's legal cell, so by the BJP legal cell. And he went on to say, we are the only country in the world where judges appoint judges, he said, adding, even though there is a retirement age, judges are not willing to retire. Pre-retirement judgments are influenced by post-retirement jobs, unquote. So this is obviously a political statement aimed at, as Aryaman Sundaram said, maybe raising doubts against judges. in 2012, Mr. Gadkari said, my suggestion is that for 2 years after retirement, there should be a gap or a cooling off period, because otherwise the government can directly or indirectly influence the courts, and the dream to have an independent, impartial and fair judiciary in the country would never actualize, unquote. Why would Mr. Gadkari say this if he didn't fear some amount of suborning, G.V.L. Narasimha Rao? Or why would Mr. Jaitley say this if he didn't believe that the current system is actually broke? Yes, sir.
Rahul, good evening to you and and all the viewers of the channel. You see, it's the kind of controversy that is sought to be generated in this appointment, because we are not discussing the issue in general. I think what has triggered the controversy, so to say, is this appointment of Justice Nazeer, and those who protested heavily. The Congress party, this is what they have to say. I think I'm not, okay, Mr. Sundaram spoke highly about Justice Nazeer. This is what Abhishek Manu Singhvi, a senior leader and a spokesperson of the Congress, has to say. He says, this is not about the appointment of Justice Nazeer. He's a very fine judge. We have all the respect for him. So one could argue, one could at least make an allegation if the record of the person in question is, if there is any doubt about it. Here you have a very celebrated judge, somebody who's highly respected, whose judgments, as you have spelled out, have sometimes been completely contrarian to the government's position. I think it was very unfortunate to create a controversy to only, I think, the ecosystem. We have seen how every time the Ayodhya verdict is used to somehow show that the judgment itself was erroneous. I think they have never been able to accept that India has resolved a 100-year-old pending vexatious issue through a very fine judicial order. Those who claim that we would accept any judgment, people like Mr. Owaisi, have been trying to trigger this controversy ever since. They will not talk about any other judgment. They will want to use every occasion to target the Ayodhya judgment.
Sure, okay.
I think I want the Congress party, and at least I don't expect Owaisi and Waris Pathan, but those parties who are actually indulging in this, they are patently trying to be anti-Hindu.
Okay,
you're trying to question
I'll come to
the
that.
very word.
That's important. You have raised a very important issue.
Temple. So
I'll
you
come
have
to that.
not only prevented.
But in the interest of balance, I must ask
they
you,
have
sir.
Prevented. They have conspired against a judgment for several years.
Okay,
and now they are trying to question it even now.
Okay, I'll bring it in. So you're reducing it to the fact that they are basically reacting from a place of sour grapes, because this particular justice was one of those who unanimously and overwhelmingly backed the Hindu claim. Okay, fair enough. I'll bring that up. But I want to come back to you, Narasimha Rao, because this is in the interests of balance, and every debate there are two poles. And I want to ask you this. Would you disagree with Arun Jaitley and Nitin Gadkari when they said what they said? One, about the fact that there could be the threat of subornment. And secondly, Mr. Nitin Gadkari, you said there should be a cooling off period. Otherwise, the government can directly or indirectly influence the courts.
No, Rahul, I am certainly not going to disagree with any statements made by my own senior leaders and stalwarts. But every decision has to be seen on its merit. And this decision, if you pass through that test of merit, I think certainly
no one is,
Justice
look, I'm not qualified. None of us are qualified.
Which no one can question.
Okay, none of us are qualified to basically stand in judgment of the present
No, I think the appointment as a governor is a constitutional high office.
True.
I think there is...
And if there is a danger,
they have expressed views,
yes,
and those views will certainly be considered.
Okay,
but in this particular case,
but Arun Jaitley and Nitin Gadkari were speaking.
Other consideration.
Okay, but Mr. Jaitley and Mr. Gadkari, for the record, viewers, and you must have all the facts. On Times Now, the hard facts. On this show, on India Upfront, the hard facts are upfront. There is no hiding from anything. So I am putting it out there that there were two very senior leaders of the BJP who believe that there is always the danger of someone being suborned, greed, etc., plays a role, and Nitin Gadkari talking about at least a two-year cooling off period after retirement. But parking that aside, I want to bring in Tehseen Poonawalla. Mr. Poonawalla, this is very important. Why are you resorting to slandering Justice Nazeer? Is it really from a point, like Mr. Patan says, oh, you know, he said this about Ayodhya, but he forgets to tell us that in the Farooqi judgment, he went the other way. He went against the government. In Triple Talaq, he went with the Muslim community, with Mr. Pathan's party, with the gentleman from his party who stood up in parliament and said, you are turning every Muslim man into a potential criminal.
Yeah.
And Mr. Pathan has forgotten that. In his hurry to cast a stone, he's forgotten that. Is he playing politics? Are you going to play politics? Is the Congress playing politics? Have you been selective? And are you therefore rubbing Mr. Nazeer's reputation, Justice Nazeer's reputation, the Honorable Governor of Andhra's reputation into the ground to serve your political ends?
Good evening, Rahul. Thank you for having me on the show. Good evening to all my fellow panelists and to all your viewers. This is not about individuals. I am sure Justice Nazeer...
But your party has made it about individuals.
And therefore you must read the statement about the individual Justice Nazeer, what Abhishek Manu Singhvi said. As the Honourable MP rightly quoted, he's actually praised Justice Nazeer. But sir, if I may just speak, I believe very firmly Justice Nazeer will be a sober, dignified justice. He'll bring dignity to the governor's house. I am absolutely sure about it. And unlike, and I say this with responsibility, that current Tamil Nadu governor or the current vice president of West Bengal governor brought in politics, Justice Nazeer would do none of that. So to that extent, I agree with the senior advocate Arya Sundaram. That's fantastic. But this is not about individuals. This is about a system that Abhishek Manu Singhvi ji spoke about, a system that Arun Jaitley ji spoke about, a system that Nitin Gadkari ji spoke about. And just because Justice Hegde, who I have a lot of respect for, went on to become the speaker, or the Janata Party called in Justice Subba Rao to stand for the presidential election, just because the Congress may have made some judge, some governor, does not make it right. Two wrongs do not make a right. So first, what Arya Sundaram, like a fantastic lawyer, did is he confused the issue very well by bringing the tribunals in. Tribunals, you require judges. Those are mandated by law that have to happen. Nobody, particularly the Congress, is not talking about tribunals. In the case of tribunals, where the Congress is also guilty, they're talking about a cooling in period. So where tribunals, human rights commissions, you must have judges. It's mandated by the law. What are we talking about? We are talking about political appointments, whether it is to the Rajya Sabha or to the governor. Whether it was Chief Justice P. Sathasivam, who became Governor of Kerala, whether it is Justice Nazeer, or whether it is somebody else who's become Rajya Sabha. It is not about individuals. The majesty of the law will only be kept up when the judiciary is not just seen, but is also perceived to be away from politics.
So
in 50% of the cases, sir, 50% of the cases, the government of India is a litigant.
Okay.
I am saying that Justice Nazeer was a fantastic judge.
So tell me one thing, just in the interests of absolute honesty.
Yes.
You said two wrongs don't make a right. So did you disagree with the fact that Justice Ranganathan Mishra, former Chief Justice of India, was also nominated by the Congress to the Rajya Sabha? Before that, he became chairman of the NHRC. This was in the 90s. Also note that Justice Ranganath Mishra had given a clean chit to Rajiv Gandhi in the 1984 riots case.
Yes.
Would you say that that was an inducement? Number two, he was part of a one-man commission of inquiry in the mid-80s on this particular issue. Also, of course, since you are talking about political appointments, Justice Behrul Islam, who retired in January 83 from the Apex Court, was nominated to the House of Elders, Rajya Sabha, by Indira Gandhi in June 1983. He was alleged to have given relief to the then Bihar Chief Minister Jagannath Mishra in the Patna Urban Cooperative Bank scam case. In fact, his case is really interesting because he went in and out. So he got a position in the judiciary, he gave up his role in the Congress, then he resigned. From the judiciary, he was given another role in the Congress. Then he gave that up to be back in the judiciary.
Right.
So what was that?
Absolutely wrong, except for R. Mishra and Human Rights Commission, because that's mandated for Chief Justice.
After
until
that
now,
he got a Rajya Sabha ticket.
Yes, which is wrong.
Which is
no
wrong.
ifs or buts.
No ifs
Look,
or buts.
just one line, Rahul. Prime Minister Modi promised us in 2014 he will build a new India.
Right.
If the justification of the BJP and their new India is exactly what Indira Ji did, exactly what Rajiv did, then why is this charade of a new India? You should have just said we will do exactly the wrongs that Congress did.
And then I
we
want to bring in
criticize you,
Ishkaran
and that's
Singh
the
Bhandari on the
new India.
political appointees and also senior fellow of the IPCS, Iyer Mitra, Abhijit Iyer Mitra, both eloquent speakers. Very quick, BJP MP responding to Tehseen Poonawala. Mr. Rao, go ahead.
No, Rahul, if everybody, particularly the Congress, which made a big controversy out of it, if they are accepting and if they are unequivocally stating that Justice Nazeer is one of the finest judges, and therefore this controversy, this discussion is not about him, they are saying it's only an academic discussion.
It's not
this
academic.
Debate we will have someday.
No, sir, it's not academic.
Which will be debated.
So who's moving Parliament then to change the laws? Bring a
No, it's an academic debate.
Tehseen Poonawala? Why isn't the Congress bringing
The day I am in a majority, I will. But no political party. But Rahul,
hang on.
hear me out.
Yes. Are you trying to tell me that on such an important issue, Abhijit Iyer Mitra, this is bizarre. We are being told now by the Congress that has suddenly decided to basically take an exalted position on this debate and capture the moral high ground by saying, oh, all that we did was wrong. Two wrongs don't make a right. Now I want to ask you, Ishkaran is also there with us. So I want to ask you, Mr. Mitra, and it's a very straightforward question. You can right all these wrongs by introducing a bill. Go ahead, change the law. Bring in a cooling period.
And therein lies the problem in all of this. See, this is a structural issue. You know, since 1950, Rahul, a total of 44 Chief Justices of India have accepted some job or the other that has involved a conflict of interest of some kind, visible conflict of interest. 70 out of 100 living judges have accepted government jobs of some form or the other. Out of these 70 judges, only 36% were jobs given by the central government. Okay, the remaining 63% were by state governments. The problem in all of this, and this is where we're getting to the structural bit, 56% of these jobs, for better or worse, require a judge to be in that particular job. It is not something where any other country deems that a judge is necessary, but India, for whatever reason, self-legislates that a judge must be required for this job. Okay, now all of this creates a problem. Why? Because in India, the judiciary is the most opaque and least accountable of any existing democracy in the world. Okay, and this is the problem out here. There is a lack of accountability of judges, and there is a structural flaw which favors these judges, and there is a fundamental lack. Let me give you a recent example. A particular judge was sitting in judgment over an accused when his own son's career depended on the funder of the accused. How is that not a conflict of interest? Right? Now, the problem is we don't define conflict of interest out here. We have no rules regarding it. It is all, Ram Bharose. We are not willing to legislate anything clear when it comes to restricting the power of judges or clarifying what conflict of interest, etc., are. And the Congress here, I'm glad Tehseen brought up this point. But see, the Congress criticism is of individual appointments such as Nazeer. They haven't come up with any draft bill saying, let us come together and legislate what a conflict of interest is. Let us legislate structural changes. Nobody wants structural changes. Their thing is, मैं करूंगा तो अच्छा करूंगा, तुम करोगे तो बुरा करोगे. Okay, next. I think it is very, very important to understand in this entire situation that it is, there may be some quid pro quo, there may not be quid pro quo. The problem is you have to understand that there is a fundamental lack of trust in the system wherein you don't even know there is quid pro quo, and there is the belief there is quid pro quo, because we've become a society that is used to conspiracy theories, and invariably conspiracy theories become facts after 6 months. Now, how do you deal with a situation like that?
So let me bring in Ishkaran Bhandari. Ishkaran Bhandari, let's for a moment suspend everything else and ask the basic underlying question. Is Justice Nazeer being attacked because he ruled in favor of the Hindu community and by extension, therefore, supported the central government's position in the Ram Janam Bhoomi title dispute case? Is that really what it is coming down to? Someone made that point. I think it was BJP MP.
Yeah. Rahul, before I come to that, a debate on high principles is very good, but it is not applicable in this case because I don't agree with Tehseen. It is a specific individual that is being targeted, or rather a specific judgment that is being targeted, and anybody who gave that judgment, namely the Ram Mandir judgment, is being targeted. So the debate on high principles, should there be a cooling off period, should there be post-retirement jobs, is for some other time. At this time, we are in a live situation, and not me. Let us hear the Congress's words on this. Mr. Rashid Alvi appointing Justice Nazeer as a governor is reducing the faith of people in judiciary. The Ayodhya Babri Masjid dispute case was given under the pressure of the central government. This is as individual, as specific as it can be, both on the name of the judge and the case. And why that? Leave that. Mr. Prashant Bhushan, he tweets and he says the judge who was and if I might quote it exactly, the judge, former Supreme Court Judge Abdul Nazeer, was in the bench that gave Babri Masjid land to those who illegally and lumpenly demolished it, is appointed Governor of Andhra Pradesh. Oh my Lord. So when you are specifically targeting a judge and a judgment, let us not be disingenuous and say it's about some high principles. Now, why they are targeting that judgment? Because the judges decide a case without fear or favor. We are willing to discuss the favor a government may do, but the fear that people are trying to create, that if you give a judgment which a particular ecosystem will not like, they will brand you as either hand in gloves with the government, or they will brand you as if you were doing some things for your post-retirement benefit, is also to create a fear. When you specifically target Ram Mandir judgment, you are also telling that if you do not give a judgment which is acceptable to the ecosystem or to our media representatives or to the international community, then we will attack your reputation. Then we will say you gave those judgments on extraneous considerations. So please, while we focus on the favor part, please understand and focus on the fair part which is being sought to be created in a modern democracy via social media, via direct tweets on a judge and on a Ram Mandir judgment. That is all I have to say.
No, 1 second. So let me bring in Mr. Pathan, who actually raised this entire issue of Ayodhya, this, that, the other. Just 1 second. I'll just bring you in. No one's running away from here. Mr. Pathan, very clearly you forgot about the triple talaq judgment, the dissenting judgment of Justice S.A. Nazeer. You forgot about the Ismail Faruqi case, where he sided, in fact, with the petitioner against the central government and others. Why? Are you part of some slander brigade?
No, I did not.
The word was used recently, Keechad. Keechad was used in the parliament by Prime Minister. Are you throwing Keechad at others? Simple question.
No, we are not throwing Keechad on anybody others, but we know that the BJP is definitely throwing Keechad on the minority community of the country.
No. You got to, no, hang on. You have to answer my question.
Rajan Gogoi also.
No, Advocate Pathan
Rajan Gogoi.
Advocate Pathan Saab, you're a clever guy. You do this for a living. You stand up in court and you can twist the facts. I'm not going to let you twist the fact. This judge is not fearful of anybody. I'm asking you a simple, straightforward question, sir. Are you part of the Keechad brigade that wants to target S.A. Nazeer because he didn't side with your community interests in the Ayodhya judgment, forgetting conveniently the triple talaq dissenting view and also the Ismail Faruqi case? I'm simply asking you, how can you call him a BJP rewarded judge when he has gone against the government? Simple question. And should you not be held up for contempt for saying something like this?
No, if the contempt proceedings are there, it's on my back of my hand, I will deal with it. Then so many people will come along with me to Tihar jail because they have criticized the sitting judges of the Honorable Supreme Court when Nupur Sharma's matter was discussed before the Honorable Supreme Court.
No, but no one said, no, hang on. Everyone criticized their logic. No, one second. A large number of people criticized their logic. Here you are questioning the integrity of the justice. That is something deeper.
I am questioning the BJP government. What made them appoint Justice Rajan Gogoi as the member of Parliament?
Are you suggesting that a bribe has been offered and the other person is innocently accepted?
Retired as the
this is ridiculous.
NCLT chairman.
No. This is, I mean, look, a bribe is given and it is taken both
not appoint him as the Andhra Pradesh. No, he's Justice. Allow me. Is Justice Nazeer appointed by the Supreme Court or is he appointed by the BJP government? Answer to my question. Is he appointed by the Supreme Court judges? No, he's appointed by the BJP government. And why?
When he gets... When he's on the back foot, he
you asked several questions. You never answered to any of your questions. You quoted Jetli, you quoted
Rahul, this is
you Gadkari. But you have the answers for them. Where is the cooling period? Why no cooling period was given? Why? Because you want to reward
Mr. Owaisi is a member of parliament. I'm sure he's moving a bill tomorrow. I'm sure he will move a bill on Friday, private member's bill. Owaisi Saab is a barrister. He knows these things even better than you. So I'm sure on Friday I will see him getting up there and moving a private member's bill. I'm sure he'll come and it'll be listed. Because we are also in favor of change, viewers. हमारे सारे MP जुड़ जाएंगे और बोलेंगे ओवैसी साहब 50 नहीं 250 350 450 545 will come and support you. They won't, viewers. I'll tell you this in writing.
How these people were reacting when Ranjan
Senior
Gogoi
Advocate Mr. Sundaram is there present.
Yeah, absolutely.
When Ranjan Gogoi came out and held his press conference, he was a lion of freedom, the tiger of democracy, the Sherawali of
several judges are waiting for their turn to be appointed. Why not them?
Top journalists were standing behind them and writing large. They were printing in block articles about these stand-up judges, etc. I'm not saying anything, viewers. Suddenly, when they became Rajya Sabha, at least one of them became a Rajya Sabha MP, all of that was forgotten. Now, I want to ask you, because Tehseen Poonawalla, you factually erred. No, I'll tell you. You said that, everyone is talking about, you see, Congress is only about political appointments, right? That's what you said. Well, let me tell you, Shama Muhammad, April 2021, reacted to Judge SC Yadav, who had acquitted Advani, Uma Bharti and others in the Babri demolition case, was appointed UP Deputy Lokayukta. So this was a quasi-judicial appointment. And this is what Shama G. Muhammad said. It's very, very important. She said, 7 months after he acquitted all 32 accused in the Babri Masjid demolition case, SK Yadav, retired special judge, CBI court, takes oath as Deputy Lokayukt 3 in Uttar Pradesh. Has there ever been a more obvious case of quid pro quo? Was that right?
No, I don't think it was right.
It was right.
I think it is wrong to...
But the judge has been smeared.
Yeah.
That's the end of him.
And you can, and as the
Aryama Sundaram,
can I just give one point?
Okay,
just one line. Sorry, sir. Look, I think it is injustice to any judge when you smell quid pro quo and attribute.
So you should be throwing out Rashid Ali from your party.
I never quote him. Only I don't know. But
Rashid Alvi says, "Who will believe now that the judge was honest?"
Can I just give one? I just want to end. I just give one suggestion. Look, no political party, Rahul. Just 30 seconds, Ishkaran. And let me turn this around. I can say the stick and carrot method that you said that the Congress is using or the ecosystem is using, the government is using. It can be turned around anyway. But the fact is, and your viewers know this, no political party is going to bring in a law because this system, as Abhijit rightly said, works for all. So the only solution is the Honorable Supreme Court steps in and says there will be a 2-year cooling period.
Let me go across to Senior Advocate Aryama Sundaram. What's the solution in a couple of points? Aryama Sundaram, you've heard all of them. At least the politicians, hypocritical to the last word in letter and spirit, chapter and verse. But what's the way out?
I don't know what we need a way out of.
Okay.
I don't see any fire under the smoke which is being created.
Right.
The fact of the matter is, a judge is appointed, is believed to be, and is proved to be a completely impartial person who is above any party politics or otherwise, Our constitution sees him as this person, an impartial, unbiased person who is to decide matters on their merits. Our constitution sees the governor to be a senior elder, a person who will guide.
But Mr. Sundaram, this is touching faith, and I wish this were the case.
Let me finish.
But there are people who look at the next job.
What I'm saying.
Yeah.
Let me finish what I'm saying.
Please.
The mistake being made, Rahul.
Yeah.
The mistake being made is they are equating a constitutional office with a government office. A judge of a Supreme Court is a constitutional office because of the eminence of the person to be made a judge of the Supreme Court. For him to take the office of governor, I see nothing at all wrong, unless you can pinpoint and say this is a specific reason why this particular person should not be made.
Okay, and in general,
otherwise, bring about a constitutional amendment.
Okay,
bring about a constitutional amendment saying that no Supreme Court judge after his retirement shall take up any office, whether as a constitutional office or otherwise, shall not take up an office of profit.
No,
that's very important. No, hang on.
So the Supreme Court has to step in.
You're going to defeat the very purpose because you're going to keep out eminent people from these offices.
Okay. So viewers, we need to quickly wrap up here. It's very important. Certain luminaries in the past have talked about cooling off periods. If it's not the MPs, if it's not Parliament, then perhaps the Supreme Court can consider it. Because, viewers, at the end of the day, a judge is also human. And let's not live in make-believe worlds where we think that just about everybody is above power of suasion. I'm not talking about Justice Nazeer. I'm sure he's honorable. I'm sure Justice Ganguly, all the others I mentioned who accepted various posts were appointed as per the law, viewers, to various positions by former governments, etc., all did so in good faith and to do a good job by the people of India. But there are always those who might be a little persuaded. Think about that exception to the norm, viewers. I want to move on. It's very important.